So hello guys, you are very much welcome to a new video of ISC Economics class 11. In the last chapter we had discussed the basics of economics, or what is the basic definition of economics. What exactly is this economics? We had discussed this in the previous chapter, and I think I went a bit too fast, or I was not that much, I wasn't at that pace at which I should be. I was a little bit of fast. So don't worry, from today onwards I'll try to be a little bit slow or bit normal. Okay. So last lecture was on the wealth definition of economics, which was given by Adam Smith and his fellow economists. After that, now we come to the welfare definition. Now, having known about the wealth definition of Adam Smith, which mainly focused and said that economics is the study of wealth. Wealth means how much material thing does one have, like money, like car, house, bank balance. So Adam Smith said that economics is the study of wealth, and it mainly studies that how do human beings earn wealth, how do they spend it. So according to Adam Smith, wealth was the main focal point of economics. Now this thing, that making such a materialistic view of economics, that was criticized by a lot of economists of that era. Many economists said that you cannot just go on and say that economics is the study of wealth. So they said that wealth is a very materialistic thing, and economics just cannot be a study of such thing. So those who opposed the wealth definition of economics, they made their own definition, and that definition came to be known as the welfare definition. So the welfare definition of economics was given by Alfred Marshall, who stated that political economy or economics is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of individual and social action which is mostly connected with the attainment and use of material requisites of well-being. Thus it is on the one side a study of wealth, and on the other and more important side of the study of man. Following Marshall, many other economists like Pigou and Keynes also defined economics as a study of economic welfare. Pigou defined economics as a study of economic welfare, which is that part of social welfare that can be brought directly or indirectly into a relationship with the measuring rod of money. So now we know that the wealth definition was criticized, and after that came the welfare definition. So this welfare definition gave a more broader view of economics. The wealth definition was only concerned with the materialistic thing of wealth, of money, but this welfare definition gave that economics is not only concerned with the wealth of human beings, but apart from that it is also concerned with the welfare of human beings. Having having said that economics just concerns how does a human being acquire wealth, how does he spend that wealth, that is just the one side of the coin. We also need to see the other side. And what is the other side? That economics is a study of the human welfare of a person also. So it is a study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. It examines that part of individual and social action which is mostly connected with the attainment and use of the material requisites of well-being. So we know that a human being has a lot of things which he needs. There are some and those things which a human being needs, that is known as want. So a human being has lot of wants, like he might have some social wants. Okay, he has some social wants, he has some political wants, okay, or I should say interest. A human being has social interest, he has political interest, he has sexual interest. So economics is apart from these interests of human being. Economics is concerned with that interest which is concerned with money, or things like money. So so if it say, then a human being has social requirements, he has political requirements, he has legal requirements, he has, we can say, reproductive or biological requirements. Apart from that, a human being has, you can say, for the means for the very living of a human being we need food, so we have that kind of resources. And at last we have the economical or the economical requirement. So Alfred Marshall said that economics is concerned with the study of a human being, and particularly that part of a human being that is concerned with the material thing. Means he elaborated the wealth definition of economics. The wealth definition of economics said that economics is the study of wealth, how human beings acquire wealth, how do human beings use that wealth. But apart from this wealth definition, the welfare definition said that economics is not only the study of wealth, but it is also the study of that portion of human life which is concerned with wealth. We have a lot of requirements. We need political requirements, we need the love and affection of our mother and fathers. So apart from all these requirements, that requirement which is concerned with material things, economics is a study of that. Okay, so the welfare definition, it focuses on two types of studies. One is the study of wealth, and the other is the study of human welfare. Okay, so that is the reason it is said that on the one side it is a study of wealth, and on the other side, and more important side, a part of the study of man. So the welfare, according to the welfare definition, economics is the study of wealth also, but with the study of human welfare, or particularly that human welfare which is concerned with the economical things. Means a human beings has lot of requirements, and in those requirements, the economic requirements, economics is a study of that. Okay, so this was the welfare definition of Alfred Marshall. Now this definition also has some features and some criticisms. Okay, so study of mankind. The first feature of welfare definition was study of mankind. Now Marshall placed primary emphasis on the study of mankind. No doubt emphasizes both mankind and wealth in his definition. He agreed with the classical economists that economics is concerned with wealth, but he also said that wealth is not an end by itself, but only a means to human welfare. Thus, according to Marshall, economics is a study of man, which occupies the central plane in the study of economics. So we know that the main focal point of the definition of Marshall was that he considered economics as the study of mankind, or the study of human life. Okay, so he said two things. He agreed to, or he also laid emphasis on the classical definitions that economics is, yes, a study of human wealth, but he also gave an extra thing that it is the study of human wealth along with the study of human welfare, or that portion of human life which is concerned with the things like wealth. Okay, so this was the definition of this was the first feature of the welfare definition. The next one is economics as a study of ordinary business of life. Now economics is a study of ordinary business of a life. an individual has several aspects of life such as economic, social, religious and political. Economics is only concerned with the economic aspect of human life according to Marshall. It is not concerned with the social, religious and political aspects of human life. Economics studies the ordinary activities of man, which is how people earn material means of their livelihood and how they spend it. Like I said you that economics is, sorry, not economics, a human being has a lot of requirements in his life. He has economic, social, religious, political. So these are the different requirements which a human being has in his life, but economics is only concerned with that portion which is the economic portion. Okay, so this was a major feature of the Alfred Marshall's definition, that economics is just concerned with the economics is just concerned with the economic portion of a man's life. It is not concerned with social, religious, political, etc. Okay, so this was the second feature. After this comes it is the study of material welfare. Now according to Marshall, economics studies those activities which are mostly connected with the attainment and use of material requisites of well-being. Like I said that the previous definition, the wealth definition, only said about wealth, but this welfare definition said about wealth along with welfare. So if we say on a if we say conclusively, then economics is the study of wealth plus welfare. Therefore it can be said that economics is a study of that welfare which is concerned with the acquisition of wealth. So according to Marshall, economics studies those activities which are mostly connected with the attainment and use of the material requisites of well-being. Means economics studies that how does the human being acquire the wealth and how does he use it. Okay, next is emphasis on requisites of well-being. According to Marshall, in economics there is also emphasis on material requisites of life such as food, clothing and shelter. These needs are very basic needs which must be fulfilled before one can think of other needs. Now apart from just means emphasizes of requisites of well-being, means that the welfare definition of economics that also focuses on the material things which are required in life. Okay, so this is also a feature of the welfare definition, that apart from means we cannot say that since it is a criticism to the wealth definition, therefore there cannot be anything concerned with wealth. No, it is concerned with wealth also, because it is wealth plus welfare. And the last one is exclusion of non-economic activities. Marshall has only included in the study of economics those factors which are measurable in terms of money and exclude factors of non-economic denomination. Like I said previously, that economics is concerned with economic activities or that portion which is concerned with the material things like wealth. So the portion which is concerned with material things like wealth, that is nothing but just economical requirement. So economics is concerned with the economic activities and not the non-economic activities. Okay, now what were the criticisms of welfare definition? So this is also a very important thing, that we should be knowing what are the criticisms. Like I said that in economics or in any social science, one social scientist comes, he gives his definition, and then some other people criticize that definition, and then they introduce their new definition. After that, that definition is also criticized and a new definition is born. Then that is criticized, and then a fresh and new definition is born. So this continues for and ever. So there were criticisms to the welfare definition also. Now, in his definition of economics, Marshall has expressed economics as a social science rather than a human science. A social science studies the actions of individuals living in an organized society, whereas human science studies human irrespective of they living in community or not. As per this, the definition excludes a sannyasi living in the Himalayas because he is outside the orbit of the society. Now, Marshall has said that economics is a social science, and not only Marshall, other economists has also focused that economics is a social science. Now, if we talk about the word social science, then it means a science which is concerned with society. The science which talks about society, economics is concerned with that. Now, what does the word society actually mean? So the word society means a group of people living together. So according to Marshall, economics is a study of that group of people, but in reality there are some people who are not at all concerned with the group. They live apart from that group. Like if we talk of a sannyasi who lives in the Himalayas, so he does not have anything to do with the society. But since we have called economics a study of the society, then we have excluded that person from the ambit of economics. So this is a major drawback or the criticism or of the welfare definition, that by regarding or by calling economics as a social science, we have excluded those human beings which are not a part of the society, and this is not correct. Okay. Last one is impractical classification of activities. The welfare definition has been criticized on the basis of classification of activities also. The distinction between economic and non-economic activities is unscientific, illogical and illusory, since all human activities have an economic aspect. Now, see, I told you that a human being has political requirements, he has some legal requirements, he has some social requirements, he has some sexual requirements. But if we go to each and every requirement, we will come to know that money or something like money is concerned with each and every requirement. In each and every requirement, there is something which is related to money. Like if we want to join a political party or if we want to support a political party, then there we need to spend some money. Apart from this, if we want to live in a society, then also there are expenses. Apart from this, if we talk about other things also, means it is simply like yesterday I said a phrase that पैसा ही सब कुछ होता नहीं है, पैसे को छोड़ के भी और भी चीजें होती है. But this definition, but this point, it says that there is something of related to money in each and everything. Whatever thing you pick up, there will be some kind of money involvement in that. Therefore, in practically, we cannot bifurcate things into economic and non-economic things. So if we say that economics is the study of the economic portion of a human being, then that will not be much practical. Why? Because in reality each and everything is economical. So we cannot say that this thing is economical and this thing is non-economical. Therefore, if we regard economics as the study of the economic portion of life, then a very big question remains unanswered, that what is basically this economic portion. So bifurcating economic and non-economic things, that is not appropriate. So this is a major drawback of the welfare definition. After that, if we come to the materialistic aspect, now Robbins has criticized Marshall on the ground that this definition only includes the material things and excludes the non-material things like services of doctors, lawyers, teachers, etc. from its orbit. These services have nothing material in them, but they satisfy our needs and promote welfare. Now, the welfare definition, although it is an extended version of the wealth definition, but still it lays focus on materialistic thing also only. Its focus is still on the materialistic things. So if we want to take a better definition, then obviously this point, that materialistic aspect, that will still remain in this definition, because although we have attached one extra thing with the wealth or extra thing with the material things, but still the material things is over there. So this becomes a major drawback of this definition. Okay. Apart from this is the restricted scope of economics. Robbins has also criticized welfare definition as it restricts the scope of study of economics. Economics studies several activities which hardly promote economic welfare. Now this is a very important thing, that economics studies about many things which are not at all concerned with economic things. Okay, like like economics also I'm sorry, I was wrong over here. This restricted scope of economics, this talks about that the scope of economics, or what economics is, that is not fully covered under the welfare definition. The welfare definition concerns about economic welfare, means by using the material thing we will do the economic welfare of the people, but there are certain economic things which do not do the welfare of the human beings. So like if we say about liquor, if we say about cigarettes, so these things have an economic aspect in them. These things are also a part of the economy. These things are also studied under economics, but do these things promote economic welfare or the economic well-being of the people? So the answer is no. These things have nothing to do with the economic welfare of the people, but still these things are studies in economics. So this is a drawback of that welfare definition also. Although the welfare definition gave a broader view, but this view is also not that much sufficient. Okay, and the last one is vague concept of material welfare. Now the welfare definition has been criticized on ground that the material welfare cannot be quantitatively measured. Welfare is a subjective thing, it's psychic in nature. Now what is the meaning of welfare? Now if we talk about welfare, then welfare means a state of good living, like I have a good health, I have a good family, I have good friends. So this is what we call economic welfare. But the major drawback of this thing is that this welfare is a qualitative thing, but economics studies each and everything in the quantitative aspect. Each and everything, whatever we study in economics, that is studied in the quantitative aspect. Therefore, if we want to study about welfare, then that cannot be done in economics. Why? Because economics considers the quantitative things and welfare is a qualitative thing. Therefore, studying things like welfare in economics, that is not appropriate. Okay, so this is also a major drawback of the welfare definition of economics. After this, if we come to the scarcity definition, now the scarcity definition of economics was given by Lionel Robbins, who stated that economics is the science which studies human behavior as the relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now see, this is a universal fact that we human beings have a lot of wants. We want this, we want that, we want this, but in comparison to our needs or in comparison to our wants, the resources which we are having, that is very limited. If we talk about the resources which we are having, that is very much limited. Therefore, when we have a limited amount of resources and a lot of things to do, then what do? We use the thing in a very, you can say, in a very in a very saving manner, means with I'm not getting the exact word to use over here, but whenever we have something in deficit and the need of that thing is very much high, so in that case we need to use that thing in such a manner that there is no wastage and each and everyone is able to use that, like we call in Hindi संभाल करके यूज करना, to use it very specifically and to use it very carefully. So this definition of scarcity, which was given by Lionel Robbins, this states that that a human being has wants, and in addition to these wants there are resources which can fulfill these wants. Like if I'm thirsty, I can grab a glass of water and I can use that to fulfill my thirst. Therefore a human being has want, and to fulfill that want he has resources. Now these resources, they are very scarce. We do not have a bunch of them at our planet. We have only a limited amount of resources which we can use to fulfill our wants. Therefore these resources must be used in a very careful and a very specific manner so that there is limited wastage. So what Robbins said, that a human being has want, and in against that want there are resources which must be used very carefully. So economics is basically a study of this thing only, that there are wants which the human being want, and in addition to that there are resources. So how are these resources used to satisfy those wants? Economics is a study of that. How do we use these resources to satisfy our wants? Economics is the main study of that thing only. So this is the scarcity definition, and it does not have any much relation with the previous definition which we have studied over here. Robbins said that there is something which we call want and there is something which we call resource. So how is the resource used to satisfy the want? Economics studies this thing only. Okay, now if we talk about the features of scarcity definition, so the first thing comes logical explanation of economic problems. Now Robbins' definition very clearly brings out the root cause of economic problem, which forms the foundation of economics as a social science. According to Robbins' definition, economic problem arises due to scarcity of means in relation to their demand. Now we study anything so that that thing is able to produce a solution to our problems. So we study economics for that reason only, that it gives a solution to the problems which we are having. But the wealth definition, they were just explaining the situation. They were not giving some kind of solution to our problems. Like Adam Smith said that economics is the study of wealth. But does that thing give any advantage to us? I guess no. Similarly, welfare definition, that though it expanded the ambit of the wealth definition, but still it was also lacking behind. But this scarcity definition, that gave a very logical explanation. Why? Because in the main thing which economics is all about is the want and the resource of people. So if we talk about want and resources as the main focal point of economics, then that is much logical, because in real life this is the actual problem which we face. The wealth and welfare that are not faced in many parts. There are only a few portions where the wealth definition and the welfare definition will be applicable. So the first feature or the first advantage is that it gives the logical explanation, because in reality there is something which we call wealth, and there is something, sorry, which we call want, and there is something which we call resource. So the combination of these two, that is the main focal point of economics. After this comes universal nature. As I told you, that this definition of wealth and the definition of welfare, they are not applicable all over the world. They are applicable only in some parts of the world. But this scarcity definition, that is applicable in each and every portion of the world. In each and every economy, there are wants, and against those wants there are resources, and each and every economy faces the problem of resource allocation. So this definition of scarcity definition, that is of universal nature. In each and every definition, in each and every economy, it is applicable. Okay, the next one is human science. Now we saw it in the criticism of the welfare definition, that they regarded economics as a social science. But the scarcity definition, that said that economics is a human science. The scarcity definition states that economics is a human science and not merely a social science. This is because the problem of choice and resource allocation is faced by an individual, irrespective of whether he is a member of an organized community or is living in isolation. See, we have our problems at home. Like we also, like for example, if you go to the market with 100 rupees, so you just have 100 rupees in your pocket, but there are numerous wants which you have. You want to buy, you might be wanting to buy some vegetables, or you might be wanting to buy some fruits. So how much fruit or how much vegetable you are going to buy, or more specifically, how is this 100 rupees going to be used in buying all those things, that is a problem of resource allocation, and that is faced by the normal human being also. But apart from this, if we talk about the whole society, so this society also faces the same problem. Our country is also facing the problem of resource allocation. So if we talk about the scarcity definition, so it not only talks about the whole society, but also talks about a normal human being. A normal human being also faces the scarcity problem, and that is well explained in the scarcity definition of economics. After this comes the wider view of economic activity. As we know, the scarcity definition of gives a wider view of economic activity, as it studies all economic activities, whether they relate to the production of tangible commodities or services provided, of tangible commodities or services, provided that they involve scarcity of means in relation to ends. Now, this scarcity definition, that gave a more wider view of economics. Why? Because this scarcity definition, it relates to each and everything. In each and every part of the world, you have to face the problem of resource allocation. So that is the reason this gives a wider view of economic activities. Like in the previous one, we said there are something which we call economic activity, and there are something which we call non-economic activity. But what is exactly economic activity and what is non-economic activity, that is a big question. But this solved that problem. Okay, so this gave a wider view of the economic activity. The last one is positive science. The scarcity definition by Robbins imparts economics the nature of a positive science because it regards economics to be neutral between end. According to Robbins, economics does not tell the individuals as to what end should be achieved and what end should be sacrificed. Economics enlightens the individuals, enabling them to make rational decisions, but the decisions have to be made by the individual themselves. Now this point, which is the positive science point, this says that economics is the study of resource allocation. Like we have numerous wants, and in comparison to that want, we have few resources. So how are these resources going to be allocated? That is the study of economics. But this point says that economics can only tell that how can the problem of resource allocation be corrected. We can only get a knowledge about the problem of resource allocation, but in reality the problem has to be solved by the normal human being only. If we talk about the scarcity definition, so it will tell us, yes, that if you have numerous wants and if you have having limited resources, then use these resources in this manner, so it will benefit you. But in the end, the thing which has to be done, that is to be done by the human being only. That cannot be done by economics. So this just gives that economics can show us the way only. The real thing that has to be done by the human being only. Okay. After this comes is the criticisms of scarcity definition. Now you might be seeing over here that is narrow view of economics, but here we saw wider view of economic activity and logical explanation. So how can this be? So see, these criticisms, they are not, means these criticisms, they were given by other economists. So what criticism did they give, that we need to study over. These are not facts which we can say. These are the criticisms which were given by the other economists. So if we see over here narrow view, and in the features also if we see the narrow view, then there is nothing to worry that this is wrong in the book. This is the criticism given by the economists. So there is nothing to do that here we have given narrow view, and here also we are seeing wider view. So don't worry about that. This criticism was given by the economists which opposed this thought. Okay. So those who opposed the scarcity definition, they said that this definition gives a narrow view of economics. Robinson's definition has been criticized on the ground that it regards economics as a positive science by making it neutral between ends. Many contemporary economists believe that they as economists are required to tell what is good or bad about certain choices. The economists agree that economics is only not a positive science but also a normative science. Positive science is concerned with what is, whereas normative science is concerned with what should be or what ought to be. Thus, critics consider the scarcity definition as narrow and restricted in nature. If economists have to advise on policy matters, economics cannot remain neutral between ends. So in the last point we saw that economics is a positive science, means it just gives us an idea, but in reality what is to be done and how it is to be done, that is to be done by the ultimate human being only. So if we talk about this thing, so many critics, they said that economics is not a positive science, means economics cannot be that it just gives the idea and the ultimate thing has to be done by the normal human being only. They said that economics is not a positive science but it is a normative science, means economics does not only tell that what is to be done, but it also tells us that how it is to be done. Like there are how can I explain this? See, in the last point we saw that economics just gives what is to be done and how it is to be done, and at the last the thing which is to be done, that is to be done by the human being only. But the critics, they criticize that economics is not only a positive science but it is a normative science. Means in economics we not only said that this is the thing and you need to frame your policies up on your own, but in reality economics is going to frame those policies for you. Okay. Like, and why did they say this thing? Why? Because economists had to advise on policy matters. Economists cannot remain neutral between ends. Means see, I'm not able to explain this point. What this point wants to say is that in the last point we saw that economics just tells us that we should do this thing, but in reality or in the end that thing has to be done by the normal human being only. But this point says that economics not only tells what is to be done, but it also does the thing for us. Okay, so that is the main thing which this point wants to tell us. Okay, then the next one is restrictive subject matter of economics. The scarcity definition has also been criticized on the ground that it has restricted the subject matter of economics by restricting it to the theory of resource allocation only and not taking into account many economic problems such as economic instability, unemployment, economic income determination, economic growth and development. So they gave a criticism that there are other problems in economics as well, like unemployment, income determination, economic growth and economic development. But if we only take the resource allocation problem as the focal point of economics, then that is not appropriate. So there are many problems in economics, but those problems have not been taken consideration into economics. So this is also a drawback of these problems. After that comes static definition. The scarcity definition has said to be a static definition as it takes into consideration presently available means only. It does not take into account the possibility of increase in resources over time, which happens in real life with economic growth. Now see what the scarcity definition mainly told us. This definition mainly told us that we have want, and against those wants we have resources. So how that resources are to be used, that is the main study of economics. But according to the critics of economics, they said that the scarcity definition is only considered about the present time, that in the present time we are having this much want and this much resources. So how will these resources be allocated according to those wants? Okay, so that was the main thing which the scarcity definition said. But what the critics said, that in reality it is not that the resources, they are constant over time. The resources change over time, and so with the increase in time, the process of resource allocation, that also needs to be changed. So if we say that economics is the study of resource allocation only about the present, then that is not correct. We also need to take into account that economics considers about the future also, but that thing was not included in the scarcity definition. And the last one is economics as a science. Robbins has treated economics as a science only, but in fact economics is both a science and art. This definition has reduced economics into a pure science, a science that is concerned with formulation of economic laws only. But economists these days believe that economics is also concerned with the solution of economic problems. Economists these days are considered not only with tool makers but as tool users. The implementation of the laws of economics to solve problems is an art. Now the economists, they said that economics is a science, but in the modern world economics is a science plus also an art. Why? Because science is just because science is just a knowledge which we possess, but how to use that knowledge, that is what we call art. So in reality, economics is not only a science but also an art. Why? Because apart from you gaining the knowledge, it also lays emphasis on how should the knowledge be used. Therefore, we cannot just say that economics is a science, but we also need to say that economics is an art also. And the last one is economic problems will not always arise from scarcity. Now this thing we have explained in the previous point also, that there are many economic problems and their cause is not the scarcity of resources. Why? Because the scarcity definition said that we have wants, and in wants there are resources, and these resources are scarce. So according to this scarce problem of these resources, we came to the scarcity definition. The scarcity definition said that the scarcity of resources, that is the main problem of economics. But in reality, scarcity is not only the problem which economics faces. There are other problems also, and they are not related to scarcity at all. So therefore, if we keep the scarcity definition for and for, therefore that will not be appropriate. Okay, so this was the scarcity definition along with the welfare definition. We have one more definition left, but I will talk about that definition in another lecture, because this lecture is already 44 minutes long, and since these are something which you need to study by taking your time, therefore if I teach all those definitions in one definition, in one video only, then that won't be much beneficial. Therefore I am concluding this lecture over here. We'll see you in another lecture. Okay, so take care of yourselves. Bye bye. Jai Hind.